You're listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to our Front Porch. 1-402-799-1811 is our message line number. I am Aaron Mathis. I'm joined by Just Jeff today. Ozzy is celebrating his mother's birthday in Atlanta this weekend.
No
and
excuses.
Tombstone is incognito in the mountains somewhere. He disappeared randomly at last minute and
Took the family, headed to the hills. Maybe he knows something we don't know about. So literally this week you are with Just Jeff or Just Jeff.
Just Jeff. Yes.
To make the lame dad jokes.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. We have to do that. It's our obligation, I believe. We are obligated to the corniness and to the I don't know. I don't know what we are.
All 12 of our listeners like it. So we got to keep going with it.
That's right. Thankfully, you know, our four wives listen, so that's eight of the public. So I
thought you just downloaded it on 4 different devices and that helped.
Well, you know, someone's got to buffer the numbers, you know.
That's right.
That's right. So, yeah, we are here this week. We are alone. We are together, but we're together with each other. So that's good. So lots and lots of stories to get to today. We have to talk about the Garden of the Gods in space. I don't even know what that is. We had climate change protests. We had
imagine that.
We've got to talk about Coach Leach. We've got a Coach Leach segment coming up. He unloads on California. Gets in trouble, by the way, for it. And also Biden talking about taking on Corn Pop. Yeah.
Like a bowl of corn pops?
No. Apparently there was a thug named Corn Pop. So, you know.
That just doesn't seem like your typical thug name. But,
yeah, right. No, I know. But apparently some people go by things that
do not question the memory of Uncle Joe.
No.
It's crazy
flawless.
Uncle Joe. Sorry.
Flawless. Area 51 happened this week. 150 people approximately showed up at the gates of Area 51, and there were like
and were you one of them?
There were 5 pictures. I was not one of them. We opted out of it after last week's show. Decided not to do it. I wore my T-shirt though.
I was not able to participate in the Naruto run because I was injured in a softball game. So,
which is so ironic, by the way.
Torn calf muscle there, just keeping me from participating in that Naruto running.
How do you tear a calf muscle in a softball game?
Well, apparently you attempt from first base to second base, and you be old.
Okay, so that simple.
it's that simple. It had been it was second game of a doubleheader. Had been we kind of got crushed in the first game. I was filling in. My brother-in-law's team needed some extra players, so it was a makeup game. So I was filling in. First game we got beat. Second game of the doubleheader we came out hot and we're crushing the other team. And things had gotten a little hot. There was a couple interesting dust ups and whatever that I wasn't necessarily directly involved in.
Really.
Yeah. But
it's softball, guys.
Some of their players, I think, were getting a little tipsy by this point in the evening. And
gotcha.
A guy, after getting out for no reason, grabbed my 60-year-old father-in-law's leg and yanked it out from under him and tipped him over.
Oh, what in the world?
Like, put him on his back after getting out in a rundown. And I think the guy was unaware that both his sons and his son-in-law were at the game, and that he was probably just seconds from getting a beat down. But cooler heads prevailed. That didn't happen. So that was all cool there. And then next inning, some guys were drawn back and forth. I was on first base. Got the batter behind me, gets a hit. I take off from first base, and I feel something smack me in the back of the leg. And I like turn around and look at the first baseman like, seriously? Like, you're going to try to trip me? And I look over, and he's like 25 feet away from me.
Oh, no.
And then for a half second, my mind is like, so what did he throw at me? And I'm like, there's no way he threw anything at me. And then I'm like, uh-oh. And then I go to take a step, and it hurts. Yeah, and I'm just hobbling. The worst part was I just assumed I was out because, at this point. Yeah. So I'm thinking about work and everything else. So I start limping toward the sideline, and the other team had messed up their throw, and the ball was going all over the place. And then my team's like, keep going. I could have made it to second base and been safe probably.
Oh, that's funny.
But
you never would have made it farther than that. I mean,
no. Well, and we only had 9 players, and I was pitching, so I finished out 2 more innings to finish the game. Yeah.
Good grief.
It was crazy, but it was at least a minor tear of the calf muscle. I've been gimping around for a couple weeks. Doc put me off work for a couple weeks.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Hopefully, because super secret spy stuff requires strong calf muscles.
Right.
And
keeping your finger poised over that rods of God button,
it is a little tough. But I was not able to keep up with the Naruto runners, so they didn't station me out there at Area 51.
It's a shame.
I missed out. I missed out on the action.
Two people got arrested. One for public urination. The other was a woman arrested for, I guess, undisclosed reasons. She did something of some sort.
Public urination.
Yeah, right.
Man. It's just like I've been in a desert all day.
You're in a desert.
He was well hydrated. Okay,
True.
We got to give him that much.
150 people showed up out there. I'm a little bit bummed I wasn't there. But at the same time, I got to have wood-fired pizza instead, so that was kind of good.
That does soften the blow of missing it.
It does. You sent a text. You sent a text this week, and your text was a picture of something. And we've been following your lawnmower sagas for a while now. It was a chunk of steering rod from your lawnmower.
So yeah, I think we discussed my little Forrest Gump snapper that
you have a classic like 1960s, early 70s snapper lawnmower
that died a long time ago. I couldn't get it running. Yeah. No. I killed that beginning of the season. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm sad.
It blew up right after I got it running. So it's thrown a rod or something. So I bought a used Husqvarna tractor mower.
Okay.
And it's used. It's a little beat up, but it runs pretty well. And I got a good deal on Craigslist on it, right? So
nice.
I figured I'd get it through the season and work on it this winter. And steering slips every once in a while. But I figured it's something I just need to get in there and work on.
Yeah.
So I'm mowing. And after the leg injury, so I'm on the riding mower, hoping no one's spying on me to check on my disability. And so I go to turn at the end of a row, snap, steering wheel just comes out in my hand, almost all the way out, but not all the way out. And then I'm like right at the end of a row, so it snapped. I'm realizing it snapped, so I go to hit the brake. The brake's not great on this. So I have to reach over and grab it's a hydrostatic, so just grab the speed lever, grab it, pull it back into neutral before I run into a tree.
That's hilarious.
But long story short, I spent like 2 hours tearing it down to get to the steering column to find out. At first I thought something just came out, but no, it snapped. And it was cheaper to buy, when I got looking online, it was cheaper to buy the whole assembly. Because if I'm going to replace one part of the gear mechanism, I want to replace both because it's worn, and I don't want it to wear out the new one. So
makes sense.
I bought the whole steering assembly. While I was at it, I had to remove the deck, I had to remove the battery, I had to remove all these other things to get to it.
Good grief.
So the blade belt and the drive belt both really needed to be replaced, which is something I was going to do this winter. So I just
might as well do it since you got them off.
Did those belts while I was at it. I had bent a blade back when I first got it, and I fixed the blade. I got new blades, but it was still leaving a little mark in the lawn. So I put new spindles on it to see if that would fix it. So I did that too. While I had everything off the spindles.
Mr. Accomplishment.
I think the deck maybe bent a little bit because it's still leaving a little mark in the line, but it's not scalping or anything. But you can tell it's a little lower. But yeah, then I had some black Rust-Oleum, so I even painted up the deck while I had off.
Oh my goodness!
Like my mower is like half rebuilt at this point. So
that's awesome.
I'm to the point where I'm contemplating, because it's faded. The other guy stored it outside, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm literally contemplating buying a can of, because Rust-Oleum makes the farm tractor company colors.
Oh yeah.
So they have Husqvarna orange.
Yes,
and I'm literally considering buying a can or two of that and just spray painting it up with fresh
the rest
orange
of
coat
it.
too.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. That's great.
That's how much of it I've worked on that I'm.
All right. You take pride in your work.
But I'm learning all kinds of mechanical stuff.
Right. Absolutely. Speaking of mechanical stuff, the great head gasket saga of 2019 is almost over.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it still continuing?
I spent 3 hours trying to install a turbo yesterday.
Okay.
50-pound turbo laying out over the hood. It has 8 connections where it has to line up perfectly. Otherwise, it does not slide into position.
And you could get 7 of the 8.
Just about. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So that was frustrating. But I've got probably 2 or 3 hours left of putting stuff back together, batteries in, and the fan.
So, for those of you that don't routinely work on your own vehicles and things at home, when Mathis says 2 or 3 hours left, read that as 2 or 3 days. 4
hours. No, I made really good time yesterday. I was impressed. I had everything. Let's see. I had to get the valve cover on. I had a whole bunch of stuff I had to get on. All the electronics, the wires run, and the turbo installed yesterday. And yeah, I mean, it was actually, we made good time. I was impressed, but it was, 8 hours, because 3 hours of that was spent with the turbo dangling out in front of me 3 feet. So ridiculous.
So that was your workout for the day, huh?
Pretty much. I did not work out. So, and I figured today, since we're doing the show, I'm yapping my jaws. So that's pretty much a workout too, right?
At the rate that we talk, yes.
You're right. And I mean, the Whiplash segments, we're spinning around all the time.
Only when you're in charge.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes.
Teach a child to read, and he or her will be able to pass a literacy test.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And the fact that he is wrapping his arms around Putin while Putin is continuing to advance into Korea.
Wrong.
Jeff, I hate to bum you out this early in the show, but we're going to talk about fashion. And it's not good.
That definitely bums me out.
We covered the $462 asymmetrical jeans last week. That was a solid segment, I tell you. Fashion tips from the Front Porch Show. This week we're going to advise you on some styles not to purchase. Have you ever heard of Bestroy?
No, but I am currently looking at their...
Yeah, so it's dystopia-inspired fashion. They unveiled their spring 2020 menswear collection over the weekend in a series of Instagram images.
This is just weird.
Including a hoodie that says Columbine across the front, complete with holes in it, representing, bullet holes. Same with Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook hoodie with holes in it.
And Stoneman Douglas as well.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So obviously, some of these don't really look like bullet holes to me. They're pretty large tears in the sweatshirt.
Pretty large tears, yeah.
But I'm sure that's what they're going for.
Yeah, that's
definitely what they're alluding to. Now I'm on their website now. They've got some weird, retarded stuff. Sorry if anyone's a fan of the brand.
You're not supposed to use that word, man.
For $410, you can buy a hoodie that has 2 head holes in it.
Yeah, because that's cool.
Or for $395, you can buy a hoodie that's got such a big scoop neck that your chest still shows.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
And then it has like some weird zip up thing on the back.
What is the weird thing that's going on in the background?
I don't know. There's a video also going on in the background. Really strange website. I think they're trying to make some ironic statement, this whole like counter culture, whatever. I don't even know how to describe this nonsense. But
I'm very weirded out. Like it's weird.
Not a smart way to do it. I don't think they're going to win points on any side of this debate. And it's just ridiculous. So they did put out, so like you said, it's these 3 schools that have kind of the 3 most famous school shootings in the U.S. and recent and not so recent history in the case of Columbine. And everyone is just saying this is awful, this is disgusting. They've taken them all down. It appears. I don't see any of them on their website.
I don't see any.
They've deleted some of the Instagram posts. They did post a statement, and they seem to be explaining their reasoning, and basically they're talking about how life can be painfully ironic, and so like the irony of dying violently in a place you consider to be safe, controlled environment like a school. So they call it this whole nirvana thing. It's this whole yin and yang, push and pull. I don't know. It sounds like a lame excuse for a really poor taste in fashion. Is what it sounds like.
Right.
So anyway,
it's not like it's even it's not like it's even trying to raise. It's not like it's trying to raise awareness or anything. It's just profiting off the dystopian sadness.
I guarantee you that one person somewhere, like the designer or somebody, probably has some really weird, twisted, like political. It's like some art stuff you don't understand, right? Like they probably have some reason in their mind of some statement they're trying to make with it, but they're trying so hard to be ironic. It's just ridiculous.
Look, I have no problem with weird art. This seems very untasteful. And this is the whole idea of fashion art. That your fashion has to make a statement and has to be art. And it's like, guys, I don't necessarily buy that.
My fashion makes a statement. I'm at work, or I'm mowing the lawn, or I'm playing in an athletic event, or that's the statement. My fashion, and usually my wife is mocking my fashion.
I'm rocking dad mode here. I mean, I got the cargo jeans every day, man. Every day I'm home.
New Balance, the white New Balance.
No, not the white New Balance. I've got the Skechers, man. I've got the brownish colored Skechers. I'll send you a picture one day.
Get some socks and Crocs.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. I've never done that. I won't stoop to that level.
You're only a year or two away from that.
I know. Pretty soon it's going to be socks and sandals.
So now, like we said, this is the whole art. We're not sure what they're intending. There is another promotion going on right now, playing off of these school shootings, that absolutely is trying to make a statement.
Yeah, I want to thank listener Scott for sending this out to me. He stumbled across it yesterday, I guess, and it's like, hey, have you guys recorded? Have you guys seen this yet? This is a video from I forget what they're calling themselves.
Sandy Hook Promise.
Yes.
SandyHookPromise.org.
SandyHookPromise.org. We're just gonna play it. We're gonna play the video and let you guys hear it. I'll describe it as the video is going.
My mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
I mean, it starts out like a back to school commercial.
Stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
And then you have a kid running down the hall and people freaking out behind him.
This jacket is a real must-have.
You have a girl tying a door shut, kid with a skateboard bashing open a window, and kids piling out windows.
These really come in handy in art class.
Girl standing there.
These colored pencils too.
And they're standing there. There's obviously a shooting.
They can be a real lifesaver.
Girl's tying a tourniquet with her socks. little girl is sitting in a bathroom crying, sending a text, "I love you, Mom."
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
You know, the footsteps in the background. And there you have it. It says back to school time, and you know what that means. School shootings are preventable when you know the signs.
So
that video is heavy.
It's a heavy video, and I think it's actually worth some. Sometimes we react to stuff and we think it's insane, right? And it's just so far out there, lefty, whatever, that it's nuts. It almost doesn't warrant a response. We just mock it. The hoodies would be one of those examples.
Yes.
This, I think, I don't want to say this. I will be willing to, and I wish Tombstone and Oslin were here too. We need more people for this. Provide some more energy to this. But this is worthy of a little bit of a discussion here, I think.
I think so too.
Do you agree?
Oh, without a doubt.
Let me ask you this as I engage or start this discussion then. Do you think it's all bad, insane propaganda? Do you see any positive, may not be the right word,
benefit, I think.
Do you see any benefit to this ad at all? Or what do you see here?
I think it's good to bring awareness to the situation. My biggest issue is, number one, it seems to exploit a little bit. It seems to exploit the situation. We all know what they're trying to do. We all know that they are attempting to, quote unquote, end gun violence, which is something that we all want. We do not want guns in schools. We do not want, or I should say, we do not want bad guys with guns in schools shooting up schools. We do not want that. Columbine, Sandy Hook, Stoneham Douglas, tragedies. Virginia Tech, absolute tragedies. We don't want that happening. As law-abiding gun owners, we do not want that happening. But one of the things that Sandy Hook Promise is trying to do is they are trying to be, they're trying to lobby for gun control. Which what they're doing here in this ad is they are tugging on those shirt strings or
heartstrings.
Heartstrings.
I mean, it'd be the shirt strings if they were wearing the sweatshirt.
Right, you're right. Ad. You're right. No, so they're hitting emotion. They're trying to go for emotion, and I understand the plea, but it seems like it's bad intentioned because we don't actually have that big of an issue with school violence or with school shootings.
So, yeah, and so that was going to be some of my reaction to this is one thing that I guess I would give them props for, if I can give them props for anything in this, is that you never see a gun in the ad. They don't talk about specific guns or type of guns. To be honest, the ad ends with that last line there. What's it say? It says that school shootings are preventable when you know the signs.
Right. Which so we all agree with that. That's
they actually seem to be pushing more toward the
see a problem,
taking an interest in your students, seeing a problem, recognizing the signs of a student that would be likely to do this, and intervening in the student's life before that happens. And there's different ways to do that. I think that I'm concerned with the number of quote unquote conservatives that have gotten on board with the red flag type laws, because when there's an egregious situation like the student down in Florida, but then again, he stole someone's guns, right?
Right.
If I remember correctly, in the Florida one,
the problem is he was a known entity.
But he was a known entity that probably shouldn't have been free at this point because of the different threats, the different issues, and he should have been under closer observation, and he wasn't. So we agree with intervening in those situations, but we're translating that into proponents of red flag laws, which that's not a good idea because it violates all the principles of innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
It violates all of that. And it's taking a constitutionally guaranteed right away without any due process whatsoever. So we got to be careful of that. But I at least appreciated the fact that they went with the preventable signs and kind of approach it from that angle versus the ban all guns.
I
Guns
think
are evil.
I think my biggest issue with the entire thing is the comment that was before that. It's back to school time, and you know what that means.
Exactly. And what it's doing, and you're right, it's playing at fear to push an agenda. Now, I took a political speech writing class. In any kind of speech writing where you're trying to convince people to do stuff, you've got to appeal to them. You've got to appeal to them not only with facts, but with an emotion, and then you have to give a call to action, right? Because if you throw a bunch of facts and stats at people, but you never appeal to their emotion's what's going to get them over the hump to actually do something about the stats. So it's not always wrong to have some sort of emotional appeal.
No.
However, highly overplayed.
We go to church every Sunday. We have there's an emotional appeal in church.
There's logical and emotional appeal.
Exactly.
There. Yes.
Exactly.
And so, there's a time and a place for it. But the statistics prove that this emotional appeal is overplayed, I think, is what we're getting at here.
Yeah.
So, interesting. I'd seen some articles about this, and then Reason actually put out an article directly in response to that ad you played.
Really?
Addressing it. And the point is that, so like they say here, this is from Reason.com. The writer is Jacob Sullum. He put this out on the 18th of September. He admits here, he says, school shootings like airplane crashes and terrorist attacks are dramatic and horrifying events that get a lot of attention precisely because they are usual.
Right.
So sourcing from, he used factcheck.org as his source. 64 deaths from school shootings between Sandy Hook in 2012 and the end of 2018. So in 6 years, 64 deaths in school shootings. This number includes students who died after being shot on school grounds, during school hours, or after being shot on college campuses or at student housing on college campuses where they were enrolled for classes. So in other words, if there was some drunken fight somewhere at a student housing in a college and somebody was shot and died, this was included in the school shooting number. So it's not all elementary schools being shot up.
Let me give you a couple numbers here. Just to interrupt you. 3 dead, 22 wounded. 7 killed, 46 wounded. 8 killed, 39 wounded. 70 people shot, 5 dead, 4 killed, 29 wounded. 52 shot, 8 fatally killed, 3 killed, 28 wounded.
Did you just say 8 fatally killed?
8 fatally.
Is that 8 fatally wounded?
Fatally wounded. Yeah. Sorry.
I was questioning the article if that's the way it was worded.
4 people shot. 50.
So where these
8 people shot, 6 dead.
So where are these coming from?
Chicago. All those were separate weekends in Chicago.
Okay.
So my point.
But that's not where they go with this. They go much more logically with this in that. So
my point behind that is people get shot.
Correct. This goes to there's been 64 school shooting deaths since 2012 to the end of 2018. However, in 2017 alone, 4,000 people 19 or younger died in car crashes. 1,400 died from suffocation. Almost 1,000 drowned. Another 1,000 were poisoned by drugs. 340 died from fire or burns. And this is all in 1 year. So in other words, you are as a teenager, you are 370 times more likely to die in a traffic accident and 90 times more likely to die from drowning than you are to be killed in the school year. Lightning strikes kill more than twice as many people each year than school shootings. So it kind of goes into this risk assessment matrix, right? In some of the different industries I've worked in, we use risk assessment, and essentially it's a matrix grid. Along one side, you have severity of the event. Along the other side, you have likelihood of the event to happen. And that assigns it a risk level. So while the severity of a school shooting is obviously a very high number, the likelihood of it to happen is actually a really low number, which puts it somewhere in the middle of the risk matrix compared to these other things, compared to car crashes, drownings, burnings, okay? I'm not saying we completely ignore school shootings.
No, it's tragic.
Terrible.
It's absolutely tragic
when it happens. However, the the focus on it and then the solution to try to wipe out a constitutionally guaranteed right. And the Constitution, I said that very intentionally. The Constitution doesn't grant the right. It guarantees the natural right we're all born with, okay, to possess weapons, arms, not just guns, but all kinds of arms for self-defense and the defense of our country. To throw that out just because the severity of a few events that are actually not very common is insane. It's akin to banning cars because the number of kids killed each year in a car accident. And
right.
I don't know. I'm trying to handle this. I'm off my game. I'm trying to handle this with, respect, but that's my problem with this ad. Is it is a crazy emotional appeal. And like you said, that line that says it's back to school time, you know what that means. It makes it sound like this happens in every single school everywhere.
Right.
Oh, by the way, if you just had armed guards in the schools, the severity of these events. So the risk assessment matrix, can we address the frequency or can we address the severity? Well, if we try to recognize the signs, maybe we can reduce the frequency, but the frequency is already really, really, really low.
Yeah.
So let's reduce the severity. How can we reduce the severity? Maybe with security in our schools, maybe with armed guards, so that on the very occasional instance that this happens, it can be responded to and stopped. Okay. And armed guards aren't always the answer if you have the wrong quality of armed guards, as we saw in Florida, unfortunately. When you have people who are in a position where they're supposed to protect those that are more vulnerable than them, and when it comes down to it, they don't have what it takes and they're too afraid to engage and protect the people that they're supposed to protect, you gotta hire the right quality people. And that's a judging statement, and people don't necessarily know how they're going to respond until they're in that situation. But you can mentally prepare for those kind of things to some extent. And obviously, that man, I already forget his name, and I'm kind of glad I forget his name.
Right.
For the security guard who failed, and Sheriff Israel down there who failed, and everybody else who failed. You got to get the right people.
A couple things we need to address is that schools are soft targets. Schools, churches, any place that does not allow a firearm inside the premises is a soft target. And understandably so, I really think that should be the decision of the administration and the staff to make that call.
If it's a privately owned entity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. I really believe that. However, we cannot gloss over the fact that it is a soft target, and something could happen at those locations. You can't just ignore the fact that it could happen.
And each place can have a different solution. I'm not advocating we necessarily arm all teachers everywhere. There's a lot of teachers that don't want it. There's teachers I have spoken to that are pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, and have said that they, even though they're pro all that and would want to protect their students, they would really struggle with the fact that the person they would have to be shooting would also possibly be one of their students.
Right.
And so, well, then if that person doesn't think they can do it, I don't want them to have a gun. I don't want anyone to sign a bill forcing anyone to have a gun, because that's useless and unsafe. So different places call for different solutions. Small rural schools or whatever, maybe the teachers do want to be armed. City schools, resource officers may be the solution. You've got to tailor each solution for each location. It's not a one size fits all. But you're right. The solution is harden the target, not attempt to soften everyone else in the whole country in hopes that somehow a bad guy doesn't get hardened.
Right. No, you're right. The other thing I think we need to look at is that even if you take guns away from everyone even if you take guns away from all the law-abiding gun owners, you are still going to have violent people out on the streets with firearms. You are also going to have people finding other means of enacting terror.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to happen.
It's going to look at Britain. Look at Britain. Okay. Even though they've restricted the firearms so much for so long that they've successfully even made it really hard for the criminals to necessarily get them, A, criminals still end up getting them, and B, more of the common criminals have turned to knives and stuff. And then the solution has just become, let's ban knives. And same thing, somebody comes to school with a couple big knives. I understand that it's a little more contained. It's not as long range, but is anybody, are you going to be able to stop that person? Right. You know, if you're unarmed? So it's bad all the way around. And
285 lives in England and Wales taken between March 2017 and March 2008.
One year, 275?
285.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's obviously not to say that this isn't a tragedy. But people are going to take lives regardless.
Yeah. So we've kind of drugged this out, but I think the answer is here. Whatever the heck is going on with the hoodie people, okay, definitely, please, like, those people should...
Right.
Well, I don't know if we can say that. Those people have issues that are marketing the hoodies. Next level, this emotional appeal. I understand the emotional and just the tragedy level that these school shootings are.
For the most,
and no one wants them to happen.
But for the most part, we respect the intent of that ad.
And essentially what it comes down to, with what I believe this article is saying and with what other things I've read are saying, and I kind of had this thought on my own, we're reaching a point. Another article asked us the shooter drills, the active shooter drills that some schools are doing now in response to this. Okay.
Yeah.
Statistically, is the trauma, the fear that doing the drills puts into the children worth it for the statistical likelihood of this actually taking place? Right. And so the drill being needed, you know, it's almost like if we were to go back to the Cold War era and the drills of having the kids hide underneath their desk just in case the Russians nuked us. Like, if you think about that now, what's their desk going to do to a nuke? So the fear that was put into those kids' minds of listen to the air raid siren and hide under your desk, compared to A, the likelihood of that actually happening, and B, the effectiveness of the drill, it wasn't worth it. You almost might as well let the kids live life like nothing's ever going to happen. And I think that with the school shootings, I think that at the younger age, at the elementary school age and like that, I think that the likelihood is so low that the trauma that doing the drill actually outweighs the benefit of doing the drill. In maybe more adult settings, high school, college settings, there may be some benefit to drills. Maybe drills should only be done for staff without the students there. Right. So staff knows what to do in the situation. I'm not saying be completely unprepared. You know me. I'm a pro-preparedness person.
But yet again, back to mitigating the risks.
These emotional response.
So let me give kind of a real example here. I won't go into too many details. Just
we've already been crazy
for security reasons. But I'm involved with the security program at my church. We attend a very large church in Northeast Nebraska. 700 to 900 people on a Sunday, and we have an incredible children's program. We do not do lockdown drills or evacuation drills with those children. And the reason isn't because we don't think it's necessarily needed. It is that emotional risk side of things where we don't want those kids to be freaked out by having to do a lockdown drill or anything. And so what we're doing, on the other hand, is instead of doing lockdown and evacuation drills with these kids, is we're teaching the teachers how to evacuate, how to lock down, how to take care of these things, so that the kids don't ever have to worry about that. Because church should feel like a safe place to anyone who's visiting.
Exactly. And I think
same should apply to school, I think. I don't think the kids should come into school having a concern that they're going to be killed. But yet,
and that's the same
makes it seem like
that's the same appeal that the proponents of these more lefty type solutions, whether it's red flag laws, gun control, whatever it is, that's what these people on the other side are saying. These kids shouldn't have to fear coming to school. It should be a safe place. Well,
which we agree.
We agree. The trouble is a lot of the propaganda, I'll call it, that you're putting out is actually creating the fear. And I'm not saying lie to them or downplay events that are happening. They're gonna see stuff happen.
Well, let's be honest about frequency.
In the media, and you're not going to explain to your kindergartner or your first grader statistical analysis that actually there's 0.03. So you're not going to go into those numbers. I understand that, but not everyone's a young Sheldon. But the point is that you can encourage, there's ways that you can engage with your children and not freak them out. And this knee-jerk response of we have to have this reaction plan in every school and we have to practice it 10 times is, I think it's too much.
I agree.
But anyway.
No,
no one cares what we think.
The simple fact is it's an interesting conversation. We kind of have to have it.
Unfortunately, we're being forced to have it.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
The essence of the American character is to explore new horizons and to tame new frontiers. We must have American dominance in space. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We gotta wait for it to drop. We gotta wait.
Is it gonna drop?
Oh yeah.
There it is. The beat did drop.
The beat dropped. We are back.
Does it bother you how JFK says decade?
I'm still wondering what the other thing is. We choose to go to the moon and do the other thing. What's the other thing? Tell me what the other thing is, dang it. He probably includes it in his speech, but I simply do not know.
Isn't it the other things and do the other things?
And do the other thing. Yeah.
I don't know.
What are those things?
The decade was just bugging me, so I wasn't paying attention to the rest of it.
This decade, yes. No, I agree. Man, where do we start here, Jeff? Obviously, this segment is taking us to space, launching us into new orbits. It better be
after that intro.
No, we're actually talking about the giant hole in the ground. No.
That would be ironic. We should have done that.
Jeff, what would you say if I told you that you could be going to a hotel in space?
I would say the rate.
Set to open in 2025 with cruise ship amenities and out of this world views.
Okay, so before we dive into this, can I just say
it's not
for how smart some of these people are. Who picks the project end dates? Okay.
Oh, I know. I know.
It's almost 2020 and you can't get my chip credit card to work. And, you're going to have a fully functioning moon or outer space hotel. We can't get the shuttles don't fly. We can't go back to the moon. We're relying on SpaceX to get us up there when those things work. And we're going to have a full hotel in space.
Yeah, there's no way to get there, but we're going to be there. So the Von Braun Station, the first ever space hotel, has been revealed by the Gateway Foundation. Set to have its first 100 people on board by 2025 and fully complete by 2027. It'll give tourists a feel of home with luxury suites, recreation halls, restaurants, bars, and while simultaneously floating in space.
So for the first 2 years, you got to listen to construction in space. Space is supposed to be serene, and you get to you're in the room.
That's amazing.
You're booked in the room next to construction.
That's amazing.
And by the way, the latest rocket broke down on the launch pad, so you're not coming back.
You're not coming home. You're not coming home. Yeah, they're suggesting that, they're claiming that there's going to be low gravity and like 1/6 of Earth. So that means you can eat extra, right? While you're there. I mean, if the gravity is lower,
this would be the difference between mass and weight, then, wouldn't it be?
I'm off on this one, aren't I? They plan to have a total of 350 to 450 people, including more than 100 crew. Let's see what else is. I don't know. And see, the funny thing is if you actually go to their website, they're like, they're not even doing anything.
Wait, does the website say like under construction coming soon?
Like they're inviting people. I don't even know what they're trying to do. Like they have all these designs out there, but nothing, obviously none of this exists, right? And so how can they be?
Yeah, and how are they planning building in space?
Okay, so what they're doing is they're offering gateway memberships. Okay, and now you can sign up as a member for free, and you can get informative emails and a 10% event discount.
And then they send you emails begging for money.
Probably. You could be an annual member, which allows you to get a crew seniority number, which means they will actually send you to space eventually.
So you get on the list. The sooner you sign up, the sooner you get on the list.
Right. And so then that's $39.95 per year. Then there's a lifetime membership for $400. And that...
Wait, when you say $39.95, like $39.95?
Yes.
$40 a year to get on a space list?
To get on a space list. To be a crew for a year, I think. The lifetime crew membership has all that, including a free notebook and a pen.
Solid.
And also
every hotel room gives you a free pen.
You're allowed to enter a yearly lottery in order to get a free trip to the space hotel.
Now, see, I saw a movie about this. It was called The Island, and it turns out that when you won the lottery, they were just harvesting you for your organs because you were a clone.
No, you're right. You're right.
Spoiler alert. Oops, sorry.
The movie is old enough. I don't care.
If you haven't seen it now,
you're way too late.
Now, I did see this, and I think I am going to buy that lifetime membership because some of the planned activities at the luxury hotel in space could include low gravity basketball, trampolining, and here's where I think I would become a champion: low gravity rock climbing.
So, yes.
At 1/6 of the Earth's gravity that is projected to have,
oh my goodness,
I could probably rock climb.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Agreed.
And other parts will be at near zero gravity, so they're saying there's potential for playing fictional games like Quidditch from Harry Potter.
If
you want to go uber nerd on that there.
Oh, but then again, they still haven't given us the cost for a room, so,
Well, I think you just win, right? You pay $400 for your lifetime membership, and then you win a room.
But what if, Jeff, instead of paying for a membership here, instead of paying to go to a hotel in space, what if you just became a space citizen?
Oh, is this the other one that I thought you were starting with?
Yes.
So I was confused for a second on the space citizen.
Space citizen. A member of the space country Asgardia.
So they couldn't even...
No, they couldn't even come up with their own.
They couldn't even just call it Asgard, though.
No.
They had to go Asgardia.
This is a former Liberal Democrat.
Asgard
MP,
was copyrighted by Thor.
Lembit Opik. He's elected as the chairman of the Parliament of Asgardia. He's the guy. He's the billionaire who. It's his brainchild, I guess. Lots of people are building rockets. Asgardia is about to build the society to go with them. And actually, no. The guy behind it is Igor Asherbili.
But
the other guy's a different guy. He's
but I mean, these people are they're
legit.
Who was elected chairman of the Parliament of Asgardia? Is a liberal Democrat.
From Britain.
House of Commons or a minister, whatever they call MP. I forget what what it stands for. They're from Britain, and then the Nigel Evans, right? Like Brexit.
No, that's Nigel Farage, different guy.
Oh, okay. Well, this guy was in on it because it says he's part of the British corps involved in the project that also includes Tory Brexiteer Nigel Evans, who chairs the Asgardian Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee. Okay, so they're not as legit as I thought they were. It's not Nigel Farage. You're right.
No, which would be hilarious.
But it's another Nigel. He said, "Forget it. You guys can't Brexit. I'm leaving the planet.
I'm leaving the planet. I'm out. Peace, boys."
And another Ministry of Defense official.
Yeah, man.
So these guys, well, it's one of two things. It's like we knew, and the people running these countries are completely off their rocker, or these guys are legit,
or they're actually onto something. So it looks like there are approximately 300,000 applications for citizenship.
There's 128,000 just from China,
which is odd to me.
54.5 from the U.S., 43.5 from Turkey, 24.5 from Brazil, 20 from the UK, 20 from Italy, 15,000. These are in thousands. Sorry, people. So 128,000 China, 54,500 in the U.S., 43,500 in Turkey, 24,600 Brazil, 20,400 UK, 20,000 out of Italy, 15,000 out of Mexico, only 11,000 out of India. You thought with India being so overpopulated, there'd be more trying to get out of there.
Right. They probably just don't know about it.
700 from Colombia.
Now, that I find interesting.
700 from Russia.
That I find interesting. The Colombia thing.
Yeah. So, well, it's another. It's the cartels trying to expand their reach.
Right.
If there's going to be people, they need to reach them.
You're right. Gotta get their goods sold somewhere. So Asgardia says it will be sustained by charging its first 7 million primary Asgardians £900 or 1,000 euros for a formal citizenship and a passport, seeking a further $1 billion from 7 unnamed primary investors.
That's 1 billion euros, just so we know.
Oh, right. 1 billion euros or 90 million. That would be 900 million pounds. They got that number wrong.
Yes, you're right.
My math is right. I'm pretty sure
they did. They got it wrong.
Yeah, they got it wrong. So that would be 15 billion euros war chest for Asgardia to invest in research and building of its institutions. They're going to be tied up. The finances will be tied up in its own cryptocurrency, the Solar, which will begin purchasing this month.
Oh, there's test purchases of the Solar. Now, we should go buy like $5 of the Solar.
I would agree. I was actually already planning on doing it.
Just to see what happens.
Maybe it'll grow out of this world. I mean, maybe it'll just explode. They have quite a few beautiful images of what Asgardia will look like, none of which will actually happen. The company is hoping to have a permanent settlement on the moon by 2043. To ensure that humanity would survive such as a cataclysmic asteroid impact. So my question is, who's going to recognize a passport from Asgardia? Is this just like a novelty item? I pay $1,000 for a novelty membership?
Well, I mean, at some point, if they become legit, they would work with that. That's
the strange
for their diplomatic people to work out with other countries.
The strange thing is they have a parliament. The other strange thing is, like, there's a bunch of bigwigs actually involved in this. It's really bizarre. Like this is more interesting to me than any of the other attempts that I've read about. Like it's really fascinating. And by the way, this guy here, Igor Asherbiely, doesn't he remind you of the guy from Men in Black 1 with the little dude inside the big dude's head?
He does.
I'm just suggesting. So did you know that it looks like video? Weird. There's video. They've already launched a satellite into space.
No.
Yes, they have. They have already launched a satellite into space to lay claim, I guess.
To like a certain, let's see.
Right. Yeah. They are claiming the space around their satellite. Kid you not. Isn't that hilarious?
So there is a treaty. There's an outer space treaty that was first signed by the U.S., the UK, and the Soviet Union on January 27, 1967, at the height of the Cold War and space race. And so there are 109 countries that are party to the treaty, and 23 more have signed the treaty but have not completed ratification. And Article 2 of that treaty states that outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation, or by any other means. So basically, no one nation can control outer space or can claim sovereignty over outer space.
Asgardia did not sign this treaty, by the way.
Now, also, yeah, that's true. They're not party to the treaty, so that'll be interesting. Are they going to give up their citizenship in other countries? Oh, let's see. Here we go. Article 6 adds, the activities of non-governmental entities in outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall require authorization and continuing supervision by the appropriate state party to the treaty, and the state party shall bear national. So basically, your country has to make sure you don't do anything crazy in outer space if you're a private company.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, if he just renounces his British citizenship and starts his own country, he's not party to the treaty.
Well, this guy's Russian, so yeah.
But here's the thing. Well, I'm talking about the prime minister dude or whatever that got voted. He's British, so you know.
The question is, how is he a prime minister of Asgardia and president?
You don't understand what their political makeup is.
No, you're right. I shouldn't judge. I should not judge.
Who knows? By 2025 or whenever they say they're going to be up there, we might all be ready to head for outer space.
So I want to. My hat is off to University of Nebraska Lincoln Professor Franz von der Dunk, who says, at least at first sight, this is basically about a billionaire living out his fantasies to be emperor, king, and president in outer space. As such, it does not bring the human settlement of outer space any nearer. We should not allow the very valuable asset of outer space, the province of all mankind, to be used for a billionaire's fun if there's at least not some broader public benefit to be drawn from that. Yes, I agree to the first part of his comment about a billionaire living out his fantasies to be emperor, king, or president. But the fact that we shouldn't allow it if it's not for the broader benefit of human good just seems naive.
Yeah, it's one of those, the whole world, everything, like
the world.
When Spain and France and England were coming to the New World, it wasn't for the greater benefit of all mankind. It was for their own country.
No, right, exactly.
No, again, people might be saying we're trying to avoid those kind of things in the wars in the future, but
Jeff, we've got to stop the imperialism in space.
It doesn't matter. The moon belongs to the U.S.
Right, we left a car there. We're going back.
Flag.
Going to New Hampshire, Tom Barkin. We're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. We're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Ah!
So in the words of my late friend Aretha Franklin, show some RESPICT.
All right, Jeff. Millions of people, mostly young people, take to the streets in a global climate strike.
Were there actually millions?
Yeah, there actually were. A lot of kids skipped school in order to go out and protest the climate.
Now, a lot of kids skipped school. Did they actually go out? Because if my state said, cool, we're not going to punish you for skipping school, and I knew my parents wouldn't punish me for skipping school, which they would have anyways, no matter what the state said,
right?
Then I would have definitely skipped school, but you wouldn't have found me at a climate protest.
There you go.
Unless you had to show a signature slip from the organizer of the climate protest to get out of school.
And then I would have been there to get the signature slip signed and left.
Exactly.
Berlin, Germany says 100,000 participants. Similar numbers in Melbourne and London. New York City says 60,000. Lower Manhattan says 250,000. So who knows how many there actually were, but this was going on all across the country.
What a joke. Now,
yeah.
Just think about this for a second. I think we should go to New York. We should organize a protest in support of the Second Amendment and see if we can get the state to pass a law allowing kids to miss school to rally to support. No. Better. Because it's even more important. I say we hold a rally, a pro-life rally in New York, and we see if we can get the state of New York to allow kids to skip school and not punish them for attending the pro-life rally.
Interesting.
I mean, if we can go, if any political cause, and a political cause as misguided and
so
whatever as climate change can get support, then definitely your fundamental right to self-defense and your fundamental right to life should get some support.
So here's the thing, climate change, whether it exists or not, I don't think is the question here. The bigger question I have is the political maneuvering that people are taking in order to attempt to legislate and limit people.
Well, they have found the perfect term now. Because you could argue against global warming, you could argue against global cooling because you could point back to cycles.
Yes.
Now they call it climate change. Yes, the climate is always changing some. And locally, obviously locally humans can have an effect on it. Think of smog and air quality issues with the Industrial Revolution and in other countries who are going through their Industrial Revolution. No doubt about it. Global climate change that is man-made and that requires a governmental intervention, I think that's where obviously we...
Right, that's I think where
we stop even having the discussion. Because here's this problem that we're not even 100% in agreement exists, and the instantaneous solution thrown out is, I now regulate every portion of your life.
Right.
And that's anyone whose answer is immediately, I'm going to take all your individual sovereignty and you just give me all your power. Like, that's the answer to solve a problem. No matter what the problem is.
Right.
You should be highly suspicious of that.
Then there's a big question.
And that's why I wish Tombstone was here. Because
as
we could undercut his obsession with the Yang Gang. Because now even Andrew Yang is saying that the cost of beef should include the cost of the cow's emissions. And that way, then it would price it out of the market. So this is that subtle, I'm not regulating it. I'm letting the free market price it out so people don't use it. But you're doing that by forcing the cost of emissions into the cost of the beef. So it's still not the free market.
You are doing that.
Exactly.
The whole thing frustrates me.
Even the supposedly sane numbers guy in the Democratic Party has gone so insane that cow emissions need to be priced into beef.
So we were supposed to talk about meat on the show today, but I think we're waiting until Tombstone's back to talk about that one a little bit more.
So he bails on us, and then he dictates what we talk about. Oh wait, maybe I do that.
I mean, we do have this thing. I want to talk to Tombstone more about this. I mean, we can intro it here. I guess no, you already did it. You already talked about it. Never mind. Wow.
You talking about Yang?
Yang with the beef. Yeah.
Yeah, it fit right in with this.
Oh, look at you.
You can't put it on the list and have it fit with this and not have me talk about it.
No. I agree. No, we covered it. Well done.
And then, so we've got the climate protest. We've got then how insane they are. They want to price the emissions of cows into beef. And then why don't you follow up with the next political thing we have?
Right. So Arizona Democratic Party held a vote this week to determine whether they should censure Senator Kristen Sinema.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think it's Sinema, pronounced
Cinema. Oh, I'm sorry, Senator. Apparently, they're not happy that she's not voting progressive enough. It's like, oh, okay.
So basically, she found a couple very fringe points of commonality with the Republicans.
So they found that Sinema has opposed Trump during her time 81% of the time. But when she served in the House, she supported Trump's agenda 54% of the time. Well, that's
so because she's in the Senate now. So in the Senate, she has opposed him 81% of the time.
But apparently 81% is not enough.
Well, but she supported him 54% of the time when she was in. So really, her average is somewhere in the 20s to 30% that she supported him overall.
Right. Oh my goodness. So if you're wondering who she is and how there's a Democrat that's a senator in Arizona, she was appointed by the governor to fill John McCain's seat after his death. And I don't did she then I don't remember how that all went down.
She beat out Martha McSally, a Republican, for a seat in the Senate in 2018.
I think McSally was the one who took over. For
no,
McCain.
I read the article wrong. Okay, so Sinema beat out McSally, and then McSally was appointed to replace John McCain.
Yes.
Okay, so her and McSally are the two senators from Arizona.
Yeah, that's correct.
I read that backwards. That's my bad.
Just to be clear, she did avoid censure. The vote was yesterday. They tried to punish her. This was the progressive wing of the Democrats in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They tried, but it came back down to one of those: you're not towing the line. We're going to censure you. Which means, I believe, when it comes to the party in that situation, it's you're not allowed into any party meetings. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to caucus with them. You're not allowed to do all this.
I don't know what the level of censure is, but
it's ridiculous. Their biggest issue was her voting for Attorney General
Bill Barr.
So
the frustration here is this is part of the problem. This is some of what George Washington warned about with parties, is that you're not allowed to have any individual opinions or act on what you think is the best interest for your state.
You got to toe the line, man.
She's got a statewide race to win with some at least more center-leaning Democrats or right or left-leaning Republicans or whatever out there in Arizona. She obviously won a seat barely as a Democrat senator,
right?
But she's got to hang on to that seat, so she's got to be one of the people that plays the middle of the road, just from a political gamesmanship standpoint. But her party, who wants her as a Democrat in the Senate, won't even let her play the game that she needs to play to keep her Senate seat. That's the interesting part, is that the party no longer recognizes that in these, purplish states, maybe you've got to have the Joe Manchins of the world,
Right.
They don't allow that kind of stuff.
No, it's frustrating. I feel for her, like, it makes me really sad. Party politics just kills me. I've expressed this before, that I have completely abandoned party politics. I'm not a member of the Republicans or the Democrats. Or libertarians. I'm a registered independent right now, and it's kind of where I want to stay. I don't want to be beholden to any specific party that sits there and tells me what I have to think.
Now, you're not beholden to the party, though.
But the problem
depending
is that
on how your state holds its election.
When I sit there and I claim that, in conversation to someone, that I am part of a party, it gives them natural assumptions.
Correct.
And the funny thing is when it comes to Republicans, which I would widely identify with on most economic
Unfortunately, those assumptions
opinions.
have been shaped by the media too. So
that's true. I don't want that negative connotation. I mean, there's no. I wouldn't call myself a Republican. I would call myself a conservative. But I do not want to be labeled as such, because I do lean libertarian on a lot of issues. And I don't fit into a party. There's some things that I gave this example before. In Vermont, I was absolutely despised by liberals because I was way too conservative. I moved to Nebraska, and I am despised by Republicans. Like I
think you're way too liberal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. And it's like I don't take any liberals. I really don't take many liberal stances. I just don't think the government should be involved in certain things.
And I think that's the difference between Republican, conservative, and libertarian. So Republican we've reached a point where Republican means big government from the aspect of national defense and security and crime and punishment areas.
Yeah.
Conservative means conservative is a little more classical liberal. It's not pure libertarian, as in no government. It recognizes a role for government and allows government intervention in some areas for reasons.
Yeah.
And then libertarian is pretty much no step on snake. So
for the most part, I would say that's more anarchy, but
then it's like a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
So, but as far as the way they lean, like the minarchists are even less than the conservatives, and the conservatives are in the middle, and the Republicans have just become different type of welfare state than the left.
See, I'd put myself somewhere between conservative and minarchist.
And so then to the Republicans, you're taking a liberal position because you're like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be in war for 30 years in Afghanistan, and maybe we shouldn't spend so much, money. And so that's considered a liberal position.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Republicans, I'm like, well, maybe we shouldn't be banning homosexual marriage. Maybe the government shouldn't be involved in marriage at all.
Yeah,
and they're like, whoa. And because look, I personally, and I've said this on the show, as a Christian, as a believer, I cannot support a same-sex couple. I can't do it. That is a personal decision based upon a moral structure that I have in my life.
The point just is why does the civil government need to recognize that? And
there you go.
There's a few. These arguments almost never get had, unfortunately. There are a few legitimate conservative arguments that I've seen portrayed for why the civil government would want to engage in that arena in what we would consider more a moral and religious concern. I've heard one, I actually can't even remember them at the moment. I've heard one or two decent defenses of why the government should be involved. But I still tend to come down on the side that if the government were never involved in marriage in the first place,
there you go,
there would not have been this big battle that then provided fuel to all these other battles. Because once one is recognized and the next thing's recognized and the next thing's recognized, if it just didn't matter, it would never been a thing. It's almost like the football game earlier today. A couple bad penalties called against the team actually fires up a team and starts to get them playing better in a game that they weren't in because of some screwed up penalties called against them. And it's one of those things where if you had just let it go and not called that penalty, when I'm viewing it from the team that's about to get beat standpoint. But
I say all that to say, I'm a guy without a party. I see party politics as just constant division, constant divide, and constant destruction. I can't buy into it.
I understand why a party happens, because for those of us that don't have, aren't able to invest our entire life into the political machine, it's a lot easier to say, well, if this guy's accepted by this group, I'm okay with it. For example, we all try to claim we're individual thinkers, but like, if
we all have a good deal of party thing.
If someone from your church starts presenting an idea to you or comes by your house and tries to talk to you about something, I can't even think of a real good example, but if somebody you know and trust, or somebody that you don't even know, but it gets pointed out, this is Bob, he is also a member of our church, he is going to present this idea to us. You are instantly at least more open to his idea, because if he is part of your group to begin with, he must at least be okay. He must generally be on the same side of the equation as me. Okay. And so I think that's where, when you don't have all day to invest in politics, if you can at least look up and say, well, this guy says he's a Republican, he must at least be for these couple things I'm for, whereas this guy says he's a Democrat. I understand why people do it. It has been taken to such an extreme caricature of everybody that it's just a nightmare.
No, you're right. You're right. It's disappointing. It makes things very difficult, and I think it divides us more than it unites us. But
which is why sometime we should just dedicate a segment to reading George Washington's farewell address.
Didn't we do that a while ago?
Who knows?
We do a lot of things.
You're the archivist.
Haha. We should ask Ben. He knows these things.
And we're going to build that wall. It's going to be a great wall. And let me just tell you, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Never, ever give up. Don't give up. Don't allow it to happen. If there's a concrete wall in front of you, go through it, go over it, go around it, but get to the other side of that wall.
So did you see the news that came out a couple days ago that Donald Trump donated $1 million to the Bahamas Relief Fund?
No, I actually didn't see that news.
Didn't see that?
That type of news doesn't get pushed. I hate to be the fake news whiny person, but that type of news never seems to get pushed to my cell phone.
So
the other news that gets pushed to my cell phone.
That all being said, that was roaming its way around Facebook, and it said, and I quote, Trump in his hurtful racist Nazi fashion, just donated $1 million of his money to the Bahamas Relief Fund. And then it had a picture, this is my wonderful president. There's no record of that actually happening.
Oh, so it's not confirmed.
No, it's not
There might
confirmed.
be a reason that it hasn't been pushed to my newsfeed.
Right, exactly.
Way to set me up.
Yeah, no. You're welcome. You're welcome. So that is not technically fact as of right now. But we're not sure if that happened or not. But that brings me to a fascinating article that I found about the Bahamas. Bahamas are still reeling from Hurricane Dorian hitting the coast of, or hitting the Bahamas and sitting over them for months, or not months. Good grief. hours.
Alert. It did seem to stall out right there, right?
It did. It stalled out.
You kind of wondered who was being punished.
It stalled out there for like a full day. Anyways, there was fascinating story on CNN about a guy who built a machine that extracts the water from the air. And so after Hurricane Dorian, all infrastructure in the Bahamas is completely destroyed. It's just
a giant condenser unit, right?
So that's what this is. It's a giant condenser unit. They're condensing the moisture, and they are taking perfectly fresh water and able to give it
Interestingly enough, he has done this in both Flint, Michigan,
yes,
my original hometown,
yep,
and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, this guy is incredible.
Yeah, this is pretty neat, and it's I haven't seen a schematic or of the exact design. I know there's different ways. Literally, so you can do this in a survival. I've read and looked at a few different survival books, and I used to like to watch the Man versus Wild type shows or whatever. Yeah. Okay, but one survival strategy for getting clean water, especially if you have some water that isn't drinkable or other things that have moisture in them, you can dig a pit. If you have some sort of plastic, especially clear plastic or something with you, something similar to clear plastic, you dig a hole. At one point in the hole, higher up, you have the grasses or something that have moisture in them, or some other type of undrinkable water, and you put a rock in the middle of the plastic so it kind of hangs down in like a cone shape. And as the sun heats up over that, it'll cause condensation to form on the plastic and then run down the plastic and drip down to the bottom. You'd have some sort of container to contain the water, and you can essentially make a condensing unit to purify water in the wild. And so obviously he's just created some big mechanical device that does the same thing.
Right.
It's ingenious.
It is. It absolutely is. It's so awesome.
Now, I don't understand this. It says one issue that West currently can't afford to leave his generators where they are permanently, so going to the Bahamas means leaving Flint. Still, he said he's planning on taking the machine to the Bahamas by the end of September if he's able to raise enough money.
So I think I don't exactly understand what the issue is. I mean, it could be that the units are expensive.
But I don't. The wording is just weird that he can't afford to leave it where it is permanently. Seems like he could afford to leave it anywhere permanently if people were sponsoring it or whatever.
Right, that's
but
true.
It's just
that's
that maybe
true.
he can't create multiple ones right now. So to go somewhere else, he has to move the one.
Yeah.
He can't just immediately pop up another one.
And
in the
I think he's making them pretty fast. Like I think he's building a new one right now, if I understand correctly.
And obviously, I don't know that this is a long-term solution for anywhere, especially anywhere with a large population. But in times like this, in response to an emergency, it's a great item to have. And hopefully, we're avoiding some of the Puerto Rico debacle with this, okay, where due to corruption and political gamesmanship, thousands of pallets or thousands of water bottles on hundreds of pallets were just left rotting in the sun, and food just left rotting.
This is so incredible. So I'm looking through. He's got the Water Rescue Foundation at Facebook.com, and he's building smaller units that can supply 500 people with water each day.
Oh, when you said smaller units, I was thinking like family units.
No. These
you're
are
talking like
these are the size of a pallet, Jeff.
Village units.
The size of a pallet can supply 500 people a day with water.
So you slap 10 pallets on an airplane, and get over there and plunk them around a couple different localities.
He claims
there's plenty of humidity in the Bahamas to take out of the air.
More than enough. He claims that he's not satisfied with the efficiency. He thinks he can do better, and so he's actually aiming to do more research and to actually improve these and be able to get more out there.
So
this guy is incredible.
Without knowing anything else about him, and without having done a ton of research into it, let me at least go out on a limb and say these are the kind of people, folks, that if you want to be donating to something, try to do it to something like this or some more of the reputable foundations that are helping out.
Really?
Don't get caught up into scams.
Reputable?
Yeah, there's not a lot of reputable foundations. Reputable. Whatever. See, now I'm talking like it's
you're
playing
talking
all those
like me, man.
You're playing all those JFK clips, and I'm just starting to pronounce everything wrong.
He would have said it like that. You're right.
In this decade, I'm saying reputable. The
company was founded by Moses A. West, captain in the U.S. Army. He founded the company he dedicated his life to the United States and the people around the world. Retired from his military career, he's embarked on the mission to provide people the means and capability to produce clean water through advanced technology of atmospheric water generation. This guy's a rock star. Like, this guy's incredible. His big units look like they are. I mean, they're pulling him behind a semi truck, and it's incredible, Jeff. It's so crazy.
It's the kind of ingenuity you need to respond to these things.
They have so much water; it's literally just pouring out on the ground. This is so cool, so cool. I mean, wow, how amazing is that? Like this is the America that this is America, man. This is why we do what we do. This guy is absolutely incredible. I am psyched. He's got some fantastic pictures, by the way, on his Facebook page.
Oh, I bet.
He seems to love taking selfies with his crew, and they're building these things, and it's absolutely awesome. Like he's got a solid shop. I mean, it's so cool. This guy's incredible. Moses.
So I'd really be interested to know what his business setup is and how that part of it is working. But
yeah, I don't know.
We can figure some of that out.
Yeah, we'll do some more research.
You should see if we could get an interview with him.
So during
not to put you on the spot.
No, during a weird silent part of the show, back when you were talking about it, I was actually typing out a message to him. So yeah,
there you go.
Multitasking, Jeff. Multitasking. So we'll be right back after a break.
Did you see where Biden wants to take me to the back of the barn? Me. Some things in life you could really love doing. I don't wear a toupee. It's my hair.
I really am very smart.
I am a young, vibrant man. The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. We will make America great again.
So Jeff, Facebook has been alight with scandal and controversy lately about all these high school cheerleaders who were, banned from their football game and kicked out of school and suspended and fined and all this stuff. What in the world is going on? Enlighten me.
Well, if you believe left-leaning sources, it's probably completely justified, and it's a bunch of backwards redneck
they're
Trump
Nazis,
supporters.
right?
If you believe Fox News, everyone's First Amendment rights have been violated. And if you're a common sense person, it's probably somewhere in the middle.
So tell me what happened, because I can't get a clear answer.
Well, I'll make it as clear as mud, at least.
Okay.
So, as far as I can tell,
I trust
on
it
August
coming
30th,
from you, though, Jeff. So,
well, we'll have to have a talk during the break. But anyway, North Carolina, Stanley County Schools, North Stanley High had a football game August 30th. It was red, white, and blue night or America. It was American night at the football game. That was a theme night.
Nice. Okay.
And so students were encouraged to wear red, white, and blue.
That's cool.
A bunch of pro-America stuff. Okay. Sounds right on par for Southern high school football game, and what a lot of us, I think, would like about Southern high school football games.
Where is this?
So apparently,
New
the
London,
group
North
of cheerleaders.
Okay. I think you said that.
New London, North Carolina. Yeah. North Stanley. Yeah. North Stanley County School. North Stanley High School. So apparently, the cheerleaders decided to unfurl a banner at some point during this that was a Trump 2020 Make America Great Again, which I don't trust that quote because the 2020 slogan is Keep America Great, isn't it? But either way, it's a Trump 2020 banner.
Right.
Unfurled. Okay. So apparently, the cheerleaders were, the cheerleaders were placed on probation for unfurling the banner.
Okay, which
so obviously that caused a little bit of an uproar.
Probably
people
weren't
are
allowed to games.
People say they're violating. Yeah, so I'm sure the cheerleaders, the ones that did it, weren't allowed at the games. I don't know if they're kicked out. I don't know what probation means for them, but they were placed on probation for this, which has caused a little bit of uproar. People saying their First Amendment rights are violated. Well, then it goes further. I guess this most recent Friday's game, the school put out a notice. So Friday, September 20th, this is from the Stanley County Schools website. Friday, September 20th, 2019. Stanley County Schools has been notified of additional information that could compromise safety measures our schools have in place for sporting events. Upon receiving information at approximately 3 p.m. at this time, we regret to announce we'll be canceling the North Stanley High School football game scheduled for Friday, September 20th, 2019, with the support of Rowan Salisbury schools. We understand that this may cause an inconvenience for many. We apologize. Our number one concern is the safety of our students, athletes, staff, and community providers. So they canceled the game. So let's go through this. First off, do you think there is a First Amendment violation here?
Oh.
Because the cheerleaders were put on probation for displaying the sign.
Wow. Why you put me on the spot, man?
My initial reaction is no.
My initial reaction is,
and I'll explain why.
It doesn't help me. It doesn't help me any because I'm my own man.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go with. See, I have mixed opinions on this. Yes and no. You said they were told that they couldn't.
I think I know why you have mixed opinions.
They were told not to. Like they were told no political stuff, right?
There is a school policy, apparently, for North Carolina schools that against displaying political signs.
Okay, so this was
so if it was literally explicitly a Trump 2020 banner, then that's a political sign.
Yes.
Now,
so I have. What they did was against the rules, but was it?
If it was some other patriotic display associated with Trump, it would be in a more gray area. If it was straight up a Trump 2020 sign, that's a political sign. They have a policy against
banner,
displaying that. Who knows if schools would have been more lenient if it was an Obama 2016 sign? But either way.
But your question is it a violation of their First Amendment
2012.
rights?
Sorry. I don't think so at this time because of well, put it this way. You'd have to go to the level that the policy is in a violation of their First Amendment.
Right. So that's where I'm going.
Because the policy was enforced.
Do I think that it was wise to walk around with a Trump 2020 sign? No, I don't think so because I would like the education system to be as free from politics as possible. If that makes any sense.
Hence the policy.
However, a student expressing their views, that may be a First Amendment issue.
Well, and it's a little more gray area just because it's a public school, not a private school.
Yes.
Because if it's a private school, they can have whatever policy they want.
Well,
if you don't want to abide by their policy, don't attend there.
My issue is the government is an agent or the school is an agent of the government.
True.
Telling the student
I tend to be okay with the policy of no political signs
in its
at
purest
sporting
form. In its purest form, is that a violation of their free speech? I mean, I guess the same can be applied though, Jeff, to a teacher spreading Marxism in the classroom. Like
and you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't want that. But however, at the same time, is this, it creates, it's a big gray area, man.
It's a battle. It's where you probably lean more libertarian and I probably lean more conservative.
Possibly, yeah.
Although what we have here is all the conservatives crying out that their First Amendment rights were violated. So it's because of who's president. If it was an Obama 2012 sign,
they'd probably be cheering.
They wouldn't be all for it. The point being is, so this happened. People are up in arms. It's a politicization of everything. But then what I found interesting was something occurred that for security-related reasons, they canceled the football game.
Right.
But at the end of the one article here, it says, there was no threat. This is actually... So there was some people that were going to hold a rally before the game to support the cheerleaders. So this is a guy that was help organizing the rally. I thought this was one of the other people from the school. But he said there was no threat. Nobody's coming up there to hurt the kids. That's not what this is about. So I think I'm understanding. I thought
protest.
So my guess is it's because of the protest, and they didn't have a way to contain the protest. My original reading of the article,
which is a security threat, regardless of how you look at it. Because
correct,
they could encounter protesters. Regardless.
They just can't handle it. There's going to probably be too many people to handle. But my original reading of that, the schools were saying there was no security threat. Or the school was saying there was no threat, but they canceled because of a security-related reason. And I was like, that's mixed signals. That was the other part I found interesting, but I guess I read the article wrong. But is it a First Amendment violation? I don't know.
No. So here's my thing. If it is, you have to be consistent, and you have to allow a Marxist teacher to teach Marxism in the classroom.
You know, and I guess that's another thing here. It's American night, not Trump night. And can we, I don't know, can we focus more on the country and the principles instead of the one dude in charge? Can we get away from Orange Man Bad, Cheeto Jesus Saves stuff?
No, we can't. We can't because we like the polarization. We like having an enemy. I'm almost convinced, and I hate to derail the conversation into this.
Oh boy.
I am almost convinced that is what it's about. We love having an enemy. People love taking sides.
There's no doubt.
They love being polarized. You feel empowered when you are polarized.
Small town football rivalries wouldn't exist without that,
well,
right?
I
mean, you know what I'm saying?
But see, there's a difference though when it's a game and then it's politics. I mean, look here. I'm a big fan of Auburn football.
You almost said Alabama.
I almost said it because I was going to say one of my great friends here in Nebraska graduated from Bama, and so we have constant ribbing all the time. It's great. We love it. Like we love the back and forth that we have over it.
I don't understand that.
But the rivalry, because we should be militant, shouldn't we?
Yes. Because our sports rivalry started out of a war between states, a literal shooting war between states.
So yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is rivalry is good, but when it divides and destroys, it becomes an issue. But we love doing that.
That might be the last time Michigan got the better of Ohio State at this point, is when we got the Upper Peninsula in place of Toledo.
Because they certainly didn't get it this week in college football.
But no.
So
we are ceasing to be a force in the Big Ten.
Let me ask you this question. How long before Harbaugh is replaced?
You know, I've heard an interesting theory from someone, I forget who here, that they don't think he will be replaced, no matter how bad he does. They've kind of found for a long time. In other words, they're going to give him a lot of rope because of his history with the school and just his contract and everything. And they're just going to really cling to it and hope he's the savior. I don't know what's going on right now, though, man. It's
bad.
I know we've done a whiplash segment here. I guess it's still football related.
Yeah, it's football.
Ugly. Well, I attended the first game of the season.
Oh, did you really?
Michigan played Middle Tennessee State.
Nice.
And they're on that first. Well, we have fumbled on our opening drive of every game so far, or turned the ball over on the opening drive of every game so far, and then on our second drive, when we had like 4 attempts from inside the 5-yard line to put the ball in the end zone and we couldn't, and we had to kick a field goal in the Middle Tennessee State game. I said, look, if we can't push around Middle Tennessee State's front line, don't play. And I specifically named Wisconsin. And I said, basically, don't play any other Big Ten team, because that's what the Big Ten is about. Big old corn-fed farm boys pushing you around, making big holes for running backs to run through, and hitting tight ends and wide receivers on passes as well, but establishing your front line. I don't know, neither of Michigan's lines, offensive or defensive, didn't show up for that game. So it was ugly. We could also talk about how all these penalties are killing the game.
You mean every play having a targeting call?
Well, so the first targeting call against Wisconsin, I apologize to Wisconsin fans. That's ridiculous. It was not targeting. Our quarterback took a weird, awkward slide, and by the time he committed to the slide, your guy was already trying to tackle him, and they happened to make contact. It was bull.
Right.
Like 3 plays later, when the guy launched himself from halfway across the field and wrecked McCaffrey's world, that was a targeted call, and they got it right. Okay, but those were not the same thing. So
no, it's very interesting. Hey, let's go to break. When we come back, let's listen to Coach Leach's opinion on the Pac-12, or on California paying Pac-12 members Pac-12 players for playing college football.
Do you even know what we're talking about? You sound confused.
Yeah, no, I said it right. I said it right.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
The entire first half, we got hit in the mouth and acted like somebody took our lunch money, and all we wanted to do was have pouty expressions on our face until somebody daubed our little tears off and made us feel better. And then, then we'd go out there and try harder once our mommies told us we were okay.
Families is where our nation finds hope, where wings take dream.
Okay, so Jeff, interesting
First
situation
off,
happens here. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Michigan needed some of that. Like, I thought Harbaugh was our leech to some extent as far as like to the players.
He is
But
slightly
he's-
nuts.
He's become just like nothing in the interviews, and
No, yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, we needed some of that kind of halftime talk,
Right.
but
No,
it didn't
I
happen.
agreed.
But anyway,
It didn't happen. So California this week is attempting to pass the Fair Pay to Play Act, which means students students playing for public schools are supposed to be paid for their playing.
You're a little bit.
I know
wrong.
I'm off on that a bit.
So let's get this a little bit right. It would actually give them the right to profit
from their likeness and
people
endorsements.
using their likeness and endorsements.
Yes. Okay. I don't necessarily have a huge issue with that. That I'm okay with to an extent. It's murky. The whole thing's a little murky because, I used to be under the whole impression these kids are at school. They need to be learning. That needs to be their focus. I don't know. I'm a little conflicted on the whole thing.
Well, I think what it comes down to is, so first off, not a lot in advertising really, but the schools for sure are advertising them and making money off of them and off their likeness. There's still like jersey sales and stuff like that for team with team members' names on them, right? And so the point being is people are profiting off these kids' images and likenesses and whatever. And they aren't making, and the kids aren't getting anything for it. And
now,
you're right.
Some of these schools aren't making anything off these kids, though.
True.
Like the expenditures of their football programs are more than what the kids are bringing in. Like some of these football programs are not actually turning a profit. We're talking Pac-12, man. We're not talking SEC.
Oh, okay, or Big Ten.
Right.
But I understand. I understand what you're saying. Not all programs are turning a profit. Maybe no programs are turning a profit. I actually haven't seen the numbers.
Well, I know SEC is, but
the
Pac-12 probably not.
The point being is we've had this ban for a long time, and I think you're right. I think part of the concept,
the 80s, I think
the concept is that we don't want unfair treatment. We don't want schools bribing people to come to their schools.
Right.
I tend to be of the agreement with you. Like, you should be going to school to go to school. Now, my mind has shifted some. I think it's a riskier investment with the injuries and the length of a career and this kind of stuff. But when you look at it, I used to complain, these kids, they're just going and then they leave the team early and go to the NFL, whatever. Well, you can't really get into the NFL without having played college.
Yeah.
Right? So just like you or I or Tombstone or Ben may have gone to college to get a degree, to get a job, they're going to college to get a job. The job they're trying to get is a professional football player, professional baseball player, whatever. And the going to college is for the athletic training, not for necessarily for the educational training. So I'm coming around to begrudging them less. Now, I think a lot of them are still idiots because they go through college, they go into the NFL, they might not have the backup degree. They waste their bodies in a few years just getting destroyed in the NFL, and they burn their millions of dollars they're making in contracts on insane stuff like crazy expensive watches, although OBJ's was proven to be a fake, I guess. And then that was OBJ, right? That did that?
I don't remember.
I think it was. And so, but all that being said, a lot of them aren't thinking long term. They're thinking short term and short term gains.
Right.
Other people, though, was it Richard Sherman of all people that shocked me that finished his degree while he was he's playing out there for Seattle. So some of the guys are being smart with what they're doing. Yeah. Or you've got Andrew Luck who said, "Forget it, it's too much of a toll. I'm walking away."
There was a guy a couple weeks ago who actually gives himself an allowance, and that's all he spends.
Yeah,
and so everything else goes into savings. And so he lives in like a normal house.
You can't paint with a broad brush. Some of these guys are being smart about it. So it's an investment going to college to get into the NFL. So should they be compensated? I'm coming around to that idea. And then what I've heard is that you'd have a problem with the colleges directly paying them.
Yes.
Because of some Title IX stuff and because everyone has to be treated equally. So now the women's lacrosse team has to be paid as much at Alabama, to be paid as much as the Alabama football players.
Doesn't make any
doesn't work, right? Because their ticket sales for their lacrosse team is not going to be the same as the Alabama football team.
No.
So that's where, instead of schools directly paying them, opening it up so they could at least receive compensation in exchange for their endorsements and use of their likeness.
Yeah.
To me, seems like a very common sense thing.
Especially if you got a good player.
I took you way off tack, but I wanted to nail that down.
Let's listen to Coach Leach postulate on this situation.
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff, and I'll let the lawyers kind of flesh that out. But I do think if everybody's not given the, if everybody's not. In other words, if you create a recruiting advantage beyond what already exists, I think it's going to be very difficult. I think there will be a huge imbalance, and you'll destroy college football, and I think they ought to be very careful of that. And the other thing, if you can do stuff like that, I mean, surely if you don't like the way the guy's portraying something, you should be able to cut him on the spot pretty much, I would think. And then, of course, then are we going to have a draft? Then are we going to have trading? Then are we going to have free agency? I mean, how far does all this stuff go? So I think we ought to be careful with that. Or maybe we ought to just have minor league football and go ahead and have minor league football, and then those guys can do whatever they want.
Now, hold on. He's going to take a sip of tea here.
But the state of California has trouble keeping their streets clean right now. So my thought is that they probably ought to focus on that. That's just one guy's opinion, and I'm sure I'm probably wrong. But but at the rate that California is handling their infrastructure and some of their other problems, I think that we'll see how they do with that before. I really think it would be that beneficial for the legislature of California to enter into college football. And
he's got some minor points there.
So the meme, he's right, or he's not wrong,
right.
That, I mean, it is a good point. They probably more pressing things before the California legislature than allowing this. He makes some interesting points about recruiting imbalances.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't understand how. I mean, there's already
recruiting
imbalances. Like, people are going to try to go to Alabama as much as they can, right?
Exactly.
Or Clemson or wherever.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I guess the thought is, they'll get paid more if they go here. But then again,
which is probably true.
It may be true.
People will want to use an Alabama player's likeness more than they will want to use a
Vanderbilt or Michigan,
Rutgers. That might even be a bad example at this point, because they could probably beat Michigan. They're going to want to use it more than a Middle Tennessee State or an Appalachian State,
Right.
And so, but by the same token, still only so many people can be on Alabama's roster. So if you try to go to Alabama because you think you get more money for your likeness being used, but you ride the bench for 4 years, your likeness is never going to get used, and you're never going to make any money.
The funny thing is, though, is that the way the NCAA changed all of the changed the red shirt, black shirt rules. And everything.
Where if you transfer,
where
and
like
stuff
if
like
you
that.
transfer, if you don't play for 4 games and you transfer, you're still eligible for the next year.
Yeah, and you can still petition on certain instances because that's what Michigan's mediocre quarterback.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's a very.
I said it out loud.
I know,
for you Michigan fans.
But no, I think it's interesting. I think the NCAA is causing more issues. Now, the NCAA is going to have to address this. They are going to have to address this.
It's going to have to be addressed.
And rumor has it they're actually supposed to meet in October to address this and to come out with new rules for the 2020 season, 2020-2021 season that addresses this. But the problem is that California is there trying to force the hand. As
Coach Leach says, there's much more pressing things. Just one man's opinion, but there's much more
which may be wrong.
things.
Which may be wrong. I don't know.
Before the California legislature at this time.
No, right, exactly. So,
like city streets full of poo and needles.
Yeah. Well, we can't all have beautiful cities.
Must have been a bad batch around here because Floyd counties went crazy in the last 4 days. When I finally got down here to the house to look to see what happened, the door was standing wide open. It looked like he was packing up for a yard sale when he come out. He was lying, throwing his hands, saying stuff like, I didn't do it, you know how roads do, and blaming on everybody else. He did pull a gun on me when I got back around the house because I guess he thought I was upset with him. Who steals a cheese grater? He's got the words, Lysol. He stole an empty bottle of spray. What got me the most was my soap. He stole my soap. Who steals soap?
Tombstone. Is all of Hollywood full of crackheads?
Well,
you don't
I
have
don't
to
know how to
that.
respond.
You don't have to answer that.
I don't know how to respond because you just called me Tombstone.
Oh, did I call you Tombstone?
Yes. So I didn't know whether to just wait for Tombstone to respond or to be completely insulted by the fact that you called me Tombstone.
Okay. So did you realize who Princess Buttercup is?
You can't change the topic
No.
But
Hold on.
Yes.
You do realize who that is?
I had that realization
I just looked at the picture and I was like, no.
It is the yes.
No.
Princess Buttercup is Mrs. Frank Underwood.
No. I can't watch this movie again.
What's her name?
Robin Wright.
Robin Wright. But what was her name in the it was Frances and
Frances and what's her name? I'm working through it.
I'm blanking, but yes, it's Robin Wright, and I was rewatching Princess Bride. I don't know. It's been a month ago or so. Something popped up. Maybe it was just a meme from the Princess Bride.
That's
but I was
so
like,
weird.
I was like, wait a second.
No.
And then my wife looks at me like I'm an idiot and is like, yeah. And I'm like, no way.
I'm sorry for having that realization. Like that was like, wow.
So
I'm in
if
shock.
you were having that realization, I will excuse the Tombstone reference just because your mind was currently exploding and imploding at the same time.
It was. It really was. Like I will never watch The Princess Bride the same again, which is so sad.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you would never watch it again. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
No. Okay,
you'll never watch it the same again.
Hollywood stoners, crazy. Sony executives decided that they wanted to remake, or floated the notion that they wanted to remake The Princess Bride. What?
Literally everyone has come out against it. Of course, Cary Elwes, or however you pronounce his last name.
I don't know.
It has said that he's against it.
I love his quote. There's a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a pity to damage this one.
Which is, yes, of course, a reference to his quote in the movie.
Right. It's absolute gold. Ted Cruz, who I don't agree with much, came out in a tweet and goes, Cary Elwes doesn't agree with. We don't agree with each other on much, but on this we agree wholeheartedly.
So, have you seen? You know the meme, right? It's from Lord of the Rings. It's all the people with their swords and their axe, in the middle when they're forming the Fellowship of the Ring, and they're like, "You have my axe and my bow." And my sword,
right.
And
I saw that once, like 15 years ago.
So it's a meme that gets used in meme culture, if you will, if we're going to call it that. And someone has put out one of that where it's like, you know, the ring in the middle, like the bad thing is them trying to remake The Princess Bride. And like all the people are labeled like leftists, conservatives.
Oh, yes.
Ted Cruz, Carrie Elways, all the different swords are labeled like those people, because literally everybody's just coming together saying, can you just leave one piece of our childhood completely undestroyed? Because you know they're going to ruin it.
Why would you remake it? Why would you remake it?
It doesn't need a remake. It doesn't. It doesn't need awesome sci-fi graphics. It doesn't need. It's like, who would remake Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail? It doesn't need to be remade.
It is a masterpiece. It is a classic, a timeless classic. Now, this article in the New Yorker is, of course, saying that it's a movie of clever banter, but little visual wit, and they don't like it, and I love it for that. That's the point.
That's part of it. Like that's the point. Literally part of it.
The cheese is the movie. Like that's why we watch it.
I do not need Marvel Cinematic Universe level graphics with Michael Bay level explosions.
Yes.
With the ROUSs. I just don't.
No.
The goofy, like obviously a dude in a giant rat suit.
I know, it's so funny.
That's just part of the movie.
But here's the thing, and this is where people don't understand. The movie was not depicting the movie itself, like the actual story within the movie was not supposed to depict an actual real life happening. This was what the kid was visualizing as he's sitting there and his grandfather's telling him the story.
Yeah.
Fred Savage is sitting there in bed. Peter Falk is sitting there telling the story to his grandson who's at home sick. It is supposed to be the kid's imagination. This is not supposed to be some real life cinematographic, whatever. It's
originally
funny.
The kid hated the story, right?
Right, exactly. Oh, so frustrating.
Leave the classics alone.
So frustrating, Jeff. So, moving on. I got to play this clip for you.
Speaking of classic stories being told.
Right.
We have one for you by another grandfatherly figure.
We do. And this grandfather is Uncle Joe Biden. Here we go.
I learned a lot. And I learned that it makes a difference. This was the diving board area, and I was one of the guards, and there was a 3-meter board. If you fell off sideways, you landed on the darn cement over there.
Thank you, Joe.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Don't miss that, Corn Pop.
And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, "Hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off." Well, he came off. And he said, "I'll meet you outside." My car, these were all public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, "I'll be waiting for you." He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. There was a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, "What am I going to do?" He said, "Come down here in the basement where all the pool filter is. You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, "You walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, 'You may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head.'" I said, "You kidding me?" He said, "No, if you don't come back." And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car. And they in those days used to remember the straight razors, bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in the rain barrel, get them rusty.
No, I don't remember those times.
But I was smart.
Well, that was the 60s.
I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again. But I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize. But I didn't know that apology was going to work. He said, "You apologize to me?" I said, "I apologize for that. Not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said." He said, "Okay," closed the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah. So he told the story in his autobiography back in 2007.
So essentially what we have, for those of you that were completely lost in that rambling, is Joe Biden, and I believe in this clip, he's actually sitting at the pool that it supposedly happened.
Yeah, he is.
Sitting up on the lifeguard chair.
I don't know if he is.
Mistaken.
This looks like he's at a podium. But yeah, there are pictures of him at
because there's pictures
pool.
of him at the pool.
Yeah, there
and
are.
He's telling the story. And supposedly, when he was young, he was working as a lifeguard at this pool. And he even makes some interesting comments, I think, in the book or whatever, about how he chose to work there.
Right.
It was a mainly all African American pool,
Right.
and he was like one of the only white guys that worked there, and something about cultures and interculturalism and all this stuff. But the point being, he tells this whole big story about this tough guy, gang member named Corn Pop, which apparently gang names have changed a lot in the last 50 years.
Accordingly, they were a little softer back then.
Apparently.
But they carried big knives, so,
Apparently this guy had a switchblade or a razor blade and threatened to cut him, and because he apologized, they became friends, and they hugged it out.
Well, that's nice. It's nice.
So, I don't know. The thing is this is not, you're right, this is not a made-up, on-the-spot bunch of bull malarkey. Like, this is a story he has told and retold throughout many years.
Yeah.
So does that make it any more true? We should take a poll. What are the odds that this Corn Pop guy existed, or that anything remote like this story existed or happened? Occurred, I should say,
well,
existed.
We know Joe has an issue with creating his own stories and telling his own side of things based on the the paper he wrote. Yeah, he was called out on in what was it, not 88 election against George Bush Sr.
Maybe, yeah.
Was that when that all happened? He's known for plagiarizing. He's known for making stuff up.
And so the trouble is I'm not sure what point he was trying to make with that story either. Like, I don't know if he was trying to make this point that he can reconcile things by apologizing. I really don't know the point he was trying to make. Did you catch? So I literally had to Google to figure out why he called him Esther Williams and why that's an insult.
Esther Williams was what? She was a popular.
So she was apparently an aspiring Olympic swimmer and was a star of some MGM musicals.
Yes. I did not know she was a competitive swimmer, though. That's funny.
Broke into show business by performing in Billy Rose's Aquacade, a musical swimming revue mounted as part of the Great Lakes Exposition in 1937.
That's not weird at all.
So she was in some movies and she did singing and dancing and swimming.
Gotcha.
So apparently that's the insult that came out there because the guy had a swimming cap on his hair. So
he called
him Esther Williams, which now knowing that all in context is kind of a funny insult.
Right.
I guess.
It is kind of funny.
But, I could see where a couple of teenage boys going back and forth at each other, hey, call one of them Esther Williams, and then the one guy takes offense to that. I feel like this was more like the scene of like the bullies beat down in the alley in A Christmas Story than it really was like a chain and a razor blade. He makes it sound like the Anchorman. He makes it sound like the Anchorman battle, and I think it was more like, boy, that escalated quickly.
Yes. A chain, though, Tombstone, or Jeff, a chain.
I'm
tired, man. I'm tired. A chain, though. Did they actually use chains across the swimming pool to mark them, or are we talking about like the floaty rope, or what are we talking about here?
Well, that's usually what was used to divide it off as a rope with floats. I don't know in the 60s if they actually used a chain with floats. I guess they very well may have.
It's kind of weird. Unless he was referring to like the rope from the chain or something,
But I don't know.
Weird. Super weird.
So here is the sad part, though, because I think we like to laugh at Joe Biden's gaffes, and he has provided plenty. He is the left's version of George Bush, and to some extent, with the way
funny things that he says.
the funny things he says. That's the only comparison I'm making there.
Jeff, I mean, you do know that poor kids can be as smart as the other kids.
As white kids, poor kids can be as smart as white kids.
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
So we laugh at his gaffes. I think the trouble is now is that. How old was Bush when he was president? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Or even, when he was vice president, Biden was older.
60s. Yeah.
But he's just making funny gaffes. So he's at the point.
I saw a picture from his '88 presidential run. He looked old then.
But here's the thing. Think of that as your grandfather, and this again is not to insult him.
No.
Like. There's definitely, he has lost a step. He has lost more than a step. He has lost a couple steps. And I think he has had, has he had an aneurysm in the past? Is that the medical?
Yes. So that was why he was taking heat for his plagiarism in the '88 election, and then ended up like in his hotel room, and they didn't find him for like 4 hours or something because he ended up with an aneurysm.
Yeah. And so there's some traumatic brain injury type stuff there before, not like football related, but there's been some related
injury,
health issues before.
I don't know if I'd call it traumatic brain injury, but yeah,
that's probably the wrong terminology. I was trying to think of just like there's been issues. There's been medical conditions before that have happened that can have lasting effects. Not to mention he's 80. Where are you and I going to in his 80s, right? Isn't he?
Oh yeah.
How old is he?
What are you going to do when you're 80?
I want to make sure I'm getting the age right before we get.
He's 76 years old.
Oh, okay.
Either way, what are you going to do when you're 76?
He's 76. What are you and I going to be like when we're 76?
I'm going to be sitting in a rocking chair.
Listen to us stutter around right now. So the point being is, everyone claimed Donald Trump was maybe too old at the time,
right?
And now you've got Bernie at 78, and honestly, Bernie at least can his thoughts.
Bernie,
I want to call socialism coherent, as jumbled as he is, he's not showing some of the same signs that Joe Biden is showing. And so I think it would be so much better for him, for his wife, like retire quietly and don't put yourself through this, man. And to be honest, I don't want to say that because I think if he backs out, then the winner is Elizabeth Warren.
Did you
and
see
I
that,
think
by the
she's
way?
a lot harder for Trump to beat than Biden is.
Did you see that in Iowa this week?
New polls?
Warren is winning the new polls.
See, but
it's early.
She's going to be harder for Trump to beat. And so
possibly
would I love for Biden probably to be, I don't know. I just don't know. But I think that
it's funny coming from the guy who's probably not going to vote for him anyways, but
Oh yeah. But well, I honestly don't know at this point. I literally don't know what to do this time around.
I hear you.
But there's, as much as I love to laugh at the gaffes, there's a part of it now that's almost more sad because it's not the clickbait anymore. This is a guy, this is his life. This is a guy who has given his whole life, whether in a good way or a bad way, to the service of his country and politics. When is it time to call enough enough?
Yeah. Well, I think he thinks that he may be entitled to it. Which is, unfortunate. Because I don't think in public service you're entitled to anything. That's beside the point.
Which is, back to our first president.
Okay.
He basically had to be forced into taking it.
We are fast running out of time here. I want to jump real quick to the story of what's called the Mountain of Hell. This is the biggest bike wreck that they have ever seen. I'm going to share my screen.
It's called the Mountain of Hell. It's called the 2020 election. And,
yeah, pretty much. So I'm gonna click play here. I am not gonna play sound because there isn't much sound to be heard other than a couple expletives in a foreign language, in French. So basically 700 people speed down a glacier on bikes. And this is at the Les Deux Alpes ski resort. So basically it's not a glacier. They're skiing down snow. They're driving bikes down snow. down a groomed hill of snow. And so they are literally racing down this hill as fast as humanly possible.
It does say it's a 15-mile course of snow, ice, rocks, and single track, whatever that is.
Single track is like one bike wide, I believe.
Okay.
And so they are racing. They all start at the top of the hill. They race down it 25 kilometers, and then one guy wipes out. And he proceeds to take out probably 100 bicyclists. I mean, they are running. They are.
So at this point where they're coming down the hill, there's not.
Oh, it decreases to probably like 40 feet wide. It decreases
because right now they're like 15, 20, 30 people wide.
Right. It goes from like 40 people, 50 people wide at the top to about 30 feet wide down where the corner is, and there's just a mass pile up. And there's people up at the top of the hill sliding down the hill now.
And I believe it says in the article, that's just part of the fun, I guess, is why they launch them all at the same time. Because when one person wipes out, then it's
epic. They all just wipe out.
Because unlike other bike racing where you can like take that corner hard, you're on a snow hill.
Right.
So, okay, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, there it is.
Isn't that incredible? Just incredible. 8,530 feet they are descending in the process.
So what was it they're descending?
8,530 feet they're dropping.
Really?
Yeah. Not just this one hill. Over the 25 kilometers, 8,500 feet.
That seems like a long way.
The French Alps are pretty high, man.
Yeah, but like that seems like, well, I don't know.
I mean, it's the village sits.
How many injuries happen to this?
Oh yeah, dude, this is a tall mountain. The top elevation is 1,118 or 11,811 feet. The base elevation of the mountain is 4,000 feet. So yeah, they're dropping 8,000 feet, man.
Wait. The mountain's 11,000.
11,800. They're dropping down to 4,200.
4,000. So that's only 7,000 feet tall.
Okay, so that's 7,000 feet.
Right? 7 and 4 is 11.
No, I don't disagree with you. Yeah. So they must be going. They must be going farther down than.
They doing kilometers or something?
I don't know. As far as I know, feet in kilometers is the same as feet in standard or
no. I was saying is it 8,000 kilometers versus 8,000 feet or whatever.
8,000 meters? No,
8,000 meters. Sorry,
that wouldn't
meters.
work. That
wouldn't work.
That'd be 20,000 feet. Oh man,
yeah. So
just watch that slow motion of the guy just tea kettling right over the other. That's amazing.
The point is it is chaos.
Okay,
and
we're gonna post this video. We're gonna post this video to the Facebook page. It is epic. It is amazing. That
you still haven't answered how many injuries came out of it.
They didn't say. Unfortunately, they didn't say.
There's a reason,
Jeff. That rivals the cheese rolling in Ireland, where they roll the cheese roll down the hill and they all go running after it, and whoever gets it wins.
It reminds me of like the ridiculous. Have you seen some of those ridiculous Asian game shows?
Oh, I used to eat those up.
I've seen like some video going around Facebook where like these people, I think it was Most Extreme, where like people are trying to climb up this like thing as like oil or some sort of is being poured down it, and they're all in like these bodysuits trying to climb up this hill, and they just keep wiping out and taking out the people behind them.
Okay, my favorite one of those is the one where they have like 30 doors across the front, and they send like 150 people to the doors, and they're supposed to go through the doors. Some doors have like monsters behind them pushing them back out. Other doors are doors that they can get through and go to the next challenge. But some of them aren't doors at all. Some of them are just completely blank. Like it looks like a door, it's painted like a door.
So when they and they're push doors.
And
so
they're
like
push
you
doors.
Run up to them and push them as hard as you can.
Yeah. And so these people are running into these walls and just straight shot right into the wall.
I don't understand.
It's just amazing.
I don't understand.
Absolutely amazing. So that is all for this week, guys. Thank you for listening to the Front Porch Show. Check us out on Spotify, on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, variety of other places you can listen to us online. In the meantime, www.thefrontporchshow.com. We will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
And in the meantime, do not bring pot cookies to your church potluck. Bonus article on the website.
That's a good point. Later, guys.